Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm your host, the Board Game Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and showing you how to play Unearth. Now, Unearth is a game by Jason Horner and Matthew Ransom, and Unearth was published by Brotherwise Games. Now, Unearth is a game for ages 8 and up for 30 to 60 minutes and for 2 to 4 players. So let's start there. Now, the ages 8 and up is actually a pretty good estimate, but you could go a little bit younger. I think a year or two under that, as long as we're talking about a child who's played multiple board games already and is pretty good with them. It's not overly complicated in its rules. And as for the 30 to 60 minutes, that's probably a pretty good estimate. I would say that this game usually comes in a little bit under an hour. 30 might be quick, but maybe once you get really used to the rules and you're just going, yeah, you might be able to get a game that goes that fast. I have found that after playing a few games, that turns are lightning fast. And as for the 2 to 4 players, this game really does play at 2, 3, and 4 players. There's no alternate rule set for 2 players in this. There's some slight rule adjustments, mainly just with the setup that you have less cards out in your ruins cards face up, less ruins cards face up, and you also remove more cards from the deck to make sure that the game lasts a similar amount of time and doesn't go on too long, and also to make sure with less ruins cards out on the table that there's less chance of you wind up having cards that your opponent doesn't want to put dice on, that you just have dice sitting there and not doing anything, which that'll all make sense to you when I'm telling you how this game works. So let's open it up and have a look at the components. Now, the first thing we have here is just a little advertisement from Brotherwise for their various Boss Monster products, which is a fun game. I have Boss Monster. And here we have the Unearth rulebook. Now, I do want to draw attention to the interesting, quirky, cel-shaded art style of Unearth, because I quite like it, but it does seem to be a bit divisive. Some people really like it and some people don't. So, I mean, that's going to be up to you and whether you like this particular art style, and that's kind of what it looks like there. But again, I think it's really nice. Now, something I want to draw attention to is the rulebook is full color and has lots of diagrams and a picture of setup, which is all things I like in a rulebook. But something it has that you don't see in a lot of other rulebooks is these little bubbles here. Now, these little text boxes, these are like previews of coming attractions. They tell you about some of the main mechanics of this game, so you know what to expect when you're reading the rules. And I think they're actually a really cool idea, because it talks about, oh, this is, building stones, collecting stones to build wonders, and how you'll use the dice to get the ruin cards. They work very well in helping you to understand what to expect for the rest of the game. So now here is a nice picture of what a setup on the table should look like. And there's in addition to all of the diagrams and it being full color, it's just a very well put together rule book. They even have a nice frequently asked questions in the back, which is really great to clarify in certain circumstances that might not be directly covered by the rules. I really like this rule book. This one is absolutely excellent. Very well done. So the next thing we have are the dice. And you have these nice dice of all the different colors. You have yellow, red, blue, and green, and each player gets a set of dice. You get 3 6-sided dice, 1 4-sided die, and 1 8-sided die. And these are your workers. This game works sort of like a dice rolling dice worker placement game, where you pick a die and you say, like, oh, I want to use my 8-sided die because I want to get a really high number. And you pick a card that you want to play it on, and you roll the die, and whatever number it gets, that goes on that card. And when all the dice on that card meet the threshold of the card, and let me show you one of the cards now. So the threshold is that top number. So when the added up amount of all the dice reach that 9, the card bursts, and whoever has the highest number on that card gets the card, and everybody else, as a consolation prize, gets to get more Delver cards. So now these are the Ruin cards, which is what I'm talking about, that you want to obtain. And then the Delver cards are these littler cards here, which are action cards that allow you to do something special on your turn, a special action to alter or manipulate the numbers on dice already on the boards, or to alter or manipulate dice that you're about to roll, or do all sorts of other interesting things. There's even a card that lets you roll multiple dice on your turn, which is pretty awesome. In addition to the Ruins cards, we have these End of Age cards, which one of these goes on the bottom of the Ruins deck, and this causes an extra rule to come into play at the very end of the game, which keeps, because you don't know which card is down there, it keeps you guessing. Some of them are negative points that everyone tries to avoid, and others of them are really great and big point boosts that everyone tries to get. Now, the next bit of components I want to show you are the wonders. So there are specific named wonders, which each one is a different picture here, and they have a points amount on the back. But in addition, based on their wonder cards, they often will give you a special ability. And then we have lesser and greater wonder tokens, which will be worth usually larger amounts of points but have no special ability, but they are also easier to obtain. And now we also then have, this is the Wonder deck. Now you have the cards for the greater and lesser wonders, which always go out on the table. So, and you put the lesser and greater wonders in a random order because their point values do differ on the lesser and greater wonder cards. And then you have the specific named wonder deck, which you wind up dealing out a number of these for the game. And these ones, in addition to telling you what you need to get their wonder, for instance, this obelisk here requires 1 black stone, 1 red stone, 1 blue stone, 1 yellow stone, and then any other stones. You have to make a circle of those stones. And then if you have the obelisk, you get the special ability that when an opponent builds a wonder, you may draw a free stone from the bag. So once you have this wonder for the rest of the game, you get to take advantage of this special ability. And actually, someone I was playing with got this one early and used it to win the game. It was very, very instrumental in their winning of that particular game of Unearth that we were playing. And the stones, the final bit of components, go in this really nice little canvas bag that says Unearth on it, so that you can randomly draw them out without knowing what you're drawing. And they, again, look like little pictures of 3-dimensional cubes, though they themselves are actually hexagon-shaped tiles. And they are all different colors. You have red, blue, yellow, black, and they all go in the bag so you can randomly draw them out. So that is a look at all of the components, everything that comes in the box for Unearth. So now let's head over to the table, and I'm going to run you through a few turns to show you how the game plays. And when we're done, we're going to come back down here. I'm going to talk about how the game feels. I'm going to review it. I'm going to rate it, and then we're going to get a second opinion from Lynn. Okay, so here we can see a game set up for a 3-player game of Unearth. So we have the red player on this side, we have the green player on this side, and we have the blue player on that side there. Lynn will be controlling the blue player, I will be controlling the red and green players. Now for setting up your game of Unearth, the first thing you want to do is make sure you have all of your stone tokens in the bag. Now the stone tokens are randomly drawn from here. For instance, here is a red stone token, and you can see a lot of the other colors of stone tokens on the various cards there. The next thing you want to do is shuffle the Delver deck. This is the Delver deck right here, and you deal 2 Delver cards to each player. Delver cards are like action cards. They do all sorts of interesting things. They allow you to re-roll some dice sometimes, or change the number of the next die you're going to roll, or change the number of a die that's already out on a card, and they can be quite useful. Something to keep in mind with cards that change the number of dice: you can never go above the highest number on the die, and you can never go below a 1 on any die. The next thing you do after that is you shuffle the Ruin deck. Now that is the Ruin deck right there. And you deal 1 card face down to each player, which you are to keep this card hidden, because a big part of this game is trying to collect larger and larger sets of the same color cards, and you don't want your opponent to know what card you already get to start with as you're trying to purchase other cards and match them with your color. After that, you're going to remove the top 5 cards from the Ruin deck in the box without looking at them. So there could be deficits of certain colors, and you don't want anyone to know what those deficits are. And then you shuffle the end of age deck and put one card from the end of age deck on the bottom of the ruin deck, which will cause a new and interesting rule to come into play at the very end of the game, which will have everyone scrambling either to avoid negative points or to try to gain some last minute positive points. Then you take the top 5 cards from the ruin deck and put them in the center of the table. And you randomly draw stones from the bag based on the numbers on the bottom right-hand corner of each of the cards. So for instance, this one has a 2, it gets 2 stones. This one has a 3, it gets 3 random stones. Then you shuffle the named wonders and you deal out a number of named wonder cards based on the number of players you're playing plus 2. So this is a 3-player game. We get 5 named wonders. You find the correct tokens to represent those named wonders. And you also shuffle out the greater wonder and lesser wonders and put them on the greater wonder and lesser wonder cards as well. Then each player takes a set of dice. And then you would roll all your dice and add them up and see who has the highest number for who goes first. And then you go clockwise. Now for this example, we're just going to start with the red player going first. So the first phase of the red player, they would check to see if they want to play any of their Delver cards. So they're going to start by playing Ancestral Claim. Ancestral Claim says the next 6-sided dice they roll will get a +2 to it. And what they're going to do is they're going to have a look out there and they want to play on this 15 here. So they're going to roll their 6-sided die, which rolls a 5. They get +2 to it, but since it can't go past a 6, it just becomes a 6 and it's going to go on the card that they called. So now moving on to the green player is not going to play any cards, and they're going to take an 8-sided die and they're going to try to play on this 15 here with the 8-sided die. And they roll a 5 and they place their die on there and they're all done. So now what are you going to do over there, blue player?
I am going to play the Band of Delvers.
Now what's that do?
I may roll 2 dice during the excavation phase, and they may go on the same or different ruins.
Oh, that's a great card. I do remember that.
So I'm going to roll a d6 on this guy.
Okay. Whoa, and you got a 6. Well done.
And then I'm going to roll another d6 on the same one.
Okay, fair enough. And it's a 2, so you get to take a stone. So do you want the red or the yellow stone? Yellow stone it is. So now Lynn will be starting her stone circle there on that side of the table with a yellow stone. So it's back to me as the red player. And I decide I'm going to play my d4 on this one that Lynn has already put 2 of her dice on. And I get a 2, which brings its total up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's going to burst it. But for playing the 2, because I rolled a 1, 2, or 3, in this case a 2, I do get the stone. But now it bursts it, and because Lynn has the highest number on that card, she has a 6 on that card. She's going to get the card, but because I had another die on it, I'm going to get a free Delver card. So Lynn takes her dice back, she gets the card, and then we draw a new card out to replace it, which is an 11 that gets 2 stones, indeed. You are correct. And I will draw the 2 random stones. We get a blue and a black stone for it. So now it is the green player's turn, and they decide they would like to roll a 6-sided die for that 15 that they're working on over there. They get a 3 on it, and they're going to take the blue stone to start their circle on their side. So it's back to you again, Lynn.
I am going to play Forlorn. I give -2 to any one die already in a ruin. I'm going to give -2 to that one.
Ooh.
And then I'm going to roll my 8-sided die on that one.
Oh, okay. Well done. Well done. Oh, and then you have the high number there right now. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's almost ready to burst over there, isn't it? So I'm going to play an Ancestral Claim, which is the next d6 I roll gets a +2 to it to try to get a 6. And I'm going to roll a d6 on that 15 that everybody's going for over there. And I get a 3, so that turns into a 5, which is enough to burst it, but I did not get the top number. And this is a good example to show because I have a 5, Lynn has a 5, but her 5 is a larger die, so that's the tiebreaker. So now in this case, that's going to burst it, so the 2 leftover stones get dumped in the bag, and then now I have 1 die on it, and the green player has 2, and we did not win, so I get 1 Delver card, green gets 2 Delver cards, we all get our dice back, and Lynn gets the card. And then we get a new card dealt out there. It is a green that needs 2 dice. 2 stones. So it gets, 2 black stones there. Okay, so now it is green's turn. So green is going to roll its, green, let me see. Take a look at green's card real quick. Green is going to play the same card I just did, that they can roll a d6 and they'll get +2 to it, and they're going to roll a d6 for that new green card there, which they roll a 2, so it goes up to a 4.
I am going to roll my d8 on this new green card.
And you also got a 4. Okay, so I am going to roll a d4 on this 15 over here that I've already got a 6 on. And I rolled a 2, so I'm going to take that red stone there and add it to my stones over here on my side of the table. Now it is green's turn. Green is going to play a new discovery, which allows them to give +2 to a die already on the board, and they're going to turn their 6-sided die into a 6. And then they're going to roll a d4 for that green, which gives them a 4, which actually they would have liked that to be lower so they could have gotten a stone, but they do burst it. Lynn had a die there but did not win it, so she gets a free Delver card. And then green, now the 2 stones are of course discarded, and green gets the card. And then we're going to flip up a blue 9 that needs 2 stone, and it is all the way back to Lynn's turn again.
I am going to roll my d8 on the new 9.
Oh, an 8. Wow, that's going to be hard to beat. So I'm going to roll my d8 on this 15 over here I've been working on, and I get a 5. Still not enough to burst that. And then green is going to roll their d4 on that one and get a 3, which allows them to take the blue stone and keep working on their circle. Now this is how the game goes. We keep choosing where we want to put the stones. When you hit the threshold number on the top, the card bursts, and whoever has the highest number die on the card gets the card. And you want to get sets of cards, and the reason is, as you see here, this is the scoring card. If you have 2 of the same color, it's worth 2 points. If you one card of a color is worth 2 points, 2 cards of a color is worth 6, 3 cards of a color is worth 12, 4 is worth 20, and 5 is worth 30 points. So the more you have of a single color, that gives you a lot of points. In addition, though, if you have 1 of each color, that is 5 points, and you can get that multiple times for multiple sets of each color, and each one of those also counts towards the multiples of the same color. They actually can pull double duty in getting points there. Now, if you eventually, as you're making these circles here, and let me put my circle of stones in better view here. Let's say I was able to continue making this circle, and I have the 2 reds there already, and then I get a 3rd red there, and then maybe I get these 3 yellows here. As soon as I'm able to complete a circle, I can get a wonder to put in the circle. So now that is a completed circle with 3 reds and 3 yellows. And this wonder over here, the Eternal Flame, requires 3 yellows plus 3 of any color, so I could get that as soon as I completed it. And then I would put it here. And as I continue to get stones and go out and build more, if I were to continue to build off of this, say like there and there and there and there, I can use the same stones I had already used to get the Eternal Flame. Let me just move the camera to show that better. The same stones I had already used to get the Eternal Flame there to make this second circle here, which now I could look around and say, well, what else could I get? And one thing I could always get is a lesser wonder, which requires just a circle. So a lesser wonder, and this lesser wonder is worth 3 points at the end of the game. And then in addition, at any time, if I'm able to have 3 or more wonders built in total, I will get a 5-point bonus at the end of the game. So at the end of the game, you count up your points for your sets of cards, you count up your points for your wonders that you obtained. For instance, this wonder here is worth 1 point, and this wonder here is worth 3. And if you have anything that gives you bonus points, for instance, 3 or more wonders, that is worth 5 points, or the one of each color is worth 5 points. You add that all together, and whoever has the highest points wins the game of Unearth. So now we're going to head back over. I'm going to talk about how this game feels. I'm going to review it. I'm going to rate it, and we're going to get a second opinion from Lynn. Welcome back. So that was how you play a game of Unearth. So now there's a lot to talk about here. First off, I want to talk about the production because I really like the artwork. You can feel free to disagree with me. I know some people do, but I think it's really nice and I really like it. I also really like the insert on this box. That canvas bag for choosing the random stones out of is really nice and high quality. The cards feel really good. Overall, I would say when it comes down to the production of this game, they hit it out of the park. It's really, really nicely done. Next thing I want to talk about is the game itself. Now, this game, it's a little strange because there's a lot of randomness here. You're rolling dice, and that's random. You're drawing cards out, and that's random. But there's also a lot of ways to mitigate the randomness. You have cards that can give you pluses or minuses to the next die you roll. You have the ability to play cards to give you pluses or minuses to dice that are already on the table. You have different size dice, so you can play the odds and say, you know what, I want to get a low number because I'm just trying to get a stone, so I'm going to roll my 4-sided die. I'm trying to get a high number, so I'm going to play the card that gives me that gives me +2 to the next die I roll, and I'm going to roll a 6-sided die, or I'm going to risk rolling my only 8-sided die and try to really get a high number. And then in addition to all of that, there's reasons why rolling a low number is good. Because if you roll a die and it's a low number, as a consolation prize, you still get a stone. And making the circles of the stones allow you to get wonders, which wonders are other ways to get points. And even though you don't usually get as many points for a wonder as you get for a ruin card, the wonders give you abilities. A lot of them give you abilities that you can use throughout the rest of the game to then help you better get ruin cards later. And it feels great. You know, there's different strategies you can go towards, and you can't really ignore them, any of them. You want to play, you want to get ruin cards, you want to get wonders, you want to get both, because they're all different ways to get points and to improve your game. This feels, actually, even with the large amount of randomness in it, this feels very strategic and very tactical. And the something else I forgot to mention is, in addition to rolling a low die and getting the stones and that being a good thing, having a die on a card that someone else gets you Delver cards. And Delver cards, just like the wonders, is another thing that you can play later to help you get other ruins cards and again, help you win the game. And Delver cards are great. This game is just a lot of fun. It may not be as tactical and strategic as a complete information game with no randomness whatsoever, but the randomness in here is all mitigatable, and even though there's a lot of randomness, it feels very strategic and very tactical. And I love this game, and every game I've played of it I have thoroughly enjoyed, even though I've yet to win a game of Unearth. I haven't won yet, and I have had a wonderful time every time I've played it, which, I mean, that is really the trademark of an amazing game, when you can say, I have not won this game yet, but I love this game. And for that reason, I give Unearth 8.5 stars out of 10, because I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm going to ask to play it many times in the future. I love that I don't even care when I lose. I like it that much. I love the amount of randomness that's in there that keeps it interesting and keeps you guessing, but I also love that all of that randomness is mitigatable and it makes it feel far more tactical. But let's get a second opinion. Lynn, how many stars out of 10 would you give to Unearth?
8.
So Lynn is almost right there with me. I gave it an 8.5. She gave it an 8. This is a very, very highly rated game by us here at the Board Game Captain. This is 2 thumbs way up from us here. So that is Unearth. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns either on this video or on the game of Unearth? Feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this review and tutorial video, be sure to give it a like, share this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelt with a K on YouTube. And be sure to hit that little bell icon on my channel so you will get notifications every time I release a new video. And until next time, game on.